Change of Heart is a pretty good film. I didn't completely love all of it. There's a character I really don't like, and it's not just that I don't like them, it's that I don't really think the scenes where we focused on this character were that interesting. I'll talk more about that in a moment, but in general, I liked the film and I'm happy to recommend it. This was released in 2016. It's directed by Stephen Bridgewater. It's written by Marx and Joelle Sellner. We have a cast including Leah Pipes as Diane, Rick Malambri as Andy, and we also have John Ratzenberger as Dr. Charles Burke. And it's because of Ratzenberger that I became aware of this film, but I will say I would have watched this anyway. This is my kind of film, my kind of story. It really, in fact, well, it was on my list of Ratzenberger films to watch, but at the same time, I was looking for films like this. I was looking for romance films and rom-coms on Letterboxd, discovered this on Amazon Prime, and then I realised that I hadn't seen it yet. So I was happy to prioritise it, and for the most part, I'm glad I did. It's a decent film. Diane is trying to enhance her career. She works as a producer for a TV show, but she actually wants to get into presenting, and that's part of what this is about. Honestly, that part of it, there are a lot of things going on with this film, and I feel like there are maybe too many threads. There are too many things. I think they were trying too hard to make it a well-rounded, well-developed narrative, and I think it just meant that there was too much going on, and that kind of ties in with the character of Andy and how I think they were maybe trying too hard there. I'll talk about that in a moment in more detail. But she produces this TV show, and she has a vehicle accident and ends up staying in this bed and breakfast. The B&B is run by Helen, played by Lindsay Wagner, and while she's there, she also meets Helen's son, and we have some interesting enough interactions there. She also meets Dr. Charles Burke, who is staying at the B&B, and I won't say too much about his part of the narrative. Ratzenberger's in it a decent amount. I was quite happy with that, and I really liked the character, but I also loved what they did with his part of the story. It was very well done and really enjoyable, and obviously with Diane staying there, she connects with the people at the B&B, and she has a really lovely time there. But there are some potential benefits for her career. I don't want to say how that happens or how that comes about, but I guess the point there is that it does connect the other threads of the narrative to the B&B, but at the same time, I think they were trying a little too hard. I think it was very busy, and that meant that nothing really had a proper chance to shine. The characters' relationships felt a lot weaker than they should have done, and there were various parts of the narrative that just felt a little underdeveloped, because I feel like they were trying to develop too many things and nothing really got enough attention. There was too much going on, and that meant that actually for a lot of the film not a lot happened because they were trying to make too much happen. And we would occasionally cut back to Andy's character, and it felt so forced. It felt like I was being pulled out of the main narrative. Andy is a very unlikable character as well, so that definitely makes it even worse. And I just feel like the narrative structure is not great. The concept is brilliant. The characters are very well written. Everybody except Andy is very likable, and Andy is still a well-written character. I don't like his personality, but well written. Diane is a perfectly likable protagonist, and that's not to say she makes all of the right decisions, but I liked her. I wanted the best for her. I certainly wanted the best for Helen and the B&B, so it was very easy to get behind the story emotionally. As I said, I don't think some of the characters' relationships developed as much as they could have done. It maybe wasn't as convincing because they weren't given enough time, because they were trying too hard to give this too many threads. So there is a lot of room for improvement. And one could argue if there aren't so many threads, it wouldn't be as well developed. But with this kind of story, they're not meant to be busy. At least they're not meant to be too chaotic. We're not meant to be thrown from one thing to the next, back and forth, constantly introducing so many new obstacles, because it's just jarring and it doesn't work. This is not an action film. It's not well, it's partly a drama, but it's more of a romance, a rom-com, and it doesn't fit the genre, and it's just too busy. So Definitely room for improvement with the structure of the narrative, with the pacing. We need to strip out quite a few things away from this and to focus more on just one or two key plot points and also on the characters and how they develop and evolve within the context of the narrative. So it could have been a lot better, but I still enjoyed it. It was still a good film. Ratzenberger was brilliant. So as a Ratzenberger fan, I was very happy there. As I said, I would have watched this anyway, even if he hadn't been in it, and I still would have enjoyed it. It's a good story, but it's not as well executed as it could have been. But nevertheless, I still enjoyed it. And if Change of Heart sounds like something that might appeal to you, then needless to say, I'm definitely happy to recommend it.